Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest who will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is, what is tax lien investing and why it's worth understanding? RAIN Nation, if you've ever wondered how investors make money off of a property they don't even own yet, tax lien investing is the answer. Here are 5 things every investor should understand about it. Number 1, you're buying the debt, not the property yet. When a homeowner falls behind on property taxes, the county sells off the lien, not the deed. You're stepping into the county's shoes as the creditor, and the homeowner still has to pay you back with interest before that lien clears. Number 2, the interest rates are set by statute and they're high. Depending on the state, tax lien interest rates can run anywhere from 8% to 36% annually. That rate is fixed by law, not negotiated, which is part of what makes this niche so appealing to investors chasing predictable returns. Number 3, redemption periods vary wildly by state. Homeowners typically get anywhere from 6 months to 3 years to pay off the lien plus interest before you can move toward foreclosure. Know your state's redemption period before you bid, because that timeline determines how long your capital is tied up. Number 4, due diligence still matters even though you're not buying real estate. Just because you're buying a lien and not a house doesn't mean you can skip the homework. Environmental issues, structural problems, or an unbuildable lot can all follow you if that lien ever converts into a deed. And number 5, foreclosure is the backup plan, not the goal. Most investors never end up owning the underlying property. They collect the interest and move on. But understanding the foreclosure process protects you in the rare case a homeowner never redeems. So, RAIN Nation, remember, tax liens reward investors who do the homework and understand the redemption clock. Know your state's rules before you bid and keep bringing that badassery. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest is Zander Kemp, founder and CEO of Clear Summit Investments, where he helps high-income earners build real wealth through RV and glamping resorts planted right next to America's national parks. This isn't your typical short-term rental play. Zander is building adventure and wellness-focused destinations, the kind of places you actually want to linger, and the kind of places his investors can visit and experience for themselves. He's grown Clear Summit to 5 resorts across the Rockies with an average 24% annual investor return, all while proving that meaningful escape and strong performance don't have to be opposites. I love a guest who has found a niche that's booming for a reason. So welcome, Zander Kemp. And can we just say that is not a background, that is your actual house? Like, that's a real plant behind you? Because this is a fake plant.
Real.
This is a fake plant.
It's all real. It's like a bamboo house shipped over from Vietnam. But I live on Oahu, North Shore.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am so excited about this interview because I have a secret desire to eventually own a micro resort, which is not what you do, but along the same lines. But you have taken this to such a cool level, and I want to start, first of all, with your background in real estate. So you started selling mansions before any of this. So what actually led you towards doing the glamping resort type thing?
Yeah. So I started in real estate 9 years ago. I was an active duty military officer looking for just,
Thank you for your service.
thank you, looking for just passive income at the time. And I had tried flipping trailers off Craigslist, and I built some crypto miners and have probably a dozen LLCs that never went anywhere. And so when I had a buddy from college pitch me on the idea of buying real estate, like single family rentals, and at the time I was like, oh no, real estate's too high. We should wait for a crash like 2008 and buy at the low. And obviously, thank God I didn't like take my own advice back then. But self-educated, I went and read every book I can find, listening to hundreds of hours of podcasts, and bought my first single family turnkey house, a $45,000 house in Oklahoma City, and $9,000 down payment.
Wow.
And I saw the power that real estate had to create leverage to make money in four ways: cash flow, amortization, appreciation, and what's the other one? Tax benefits. Sorry,
I'm
brain's
still
still turning
staring
on
at
here.
what's going on in your background. So
But yeah, the power that real estate has to create
yes,
leverage and growth. And
passive income.
so
And yes.
so I went all in on it and learned everything I could. I started buying. I had an investor in the second house I ever bought. Started buying more single family renovations. Started doing more like slightly distressed, and then major distressed, and then I started flipping houses. But I didn't like the flipping because I wanted passive income, and that didn't get you to that, and it's not really tax advantaged. So I took that like flipping mindset and started buying small multifamily properties, duplex, fourplex, eightplex. Same thing, super distressed buildings. I'd come in and do full guts and do new management and new tenants, and then do a cash out refinance and pull all the money out and then roll it to the next deal.
A
So
BRRRR strategy.
exactly. So Bird up to 23 apartment buildings
Wow.
and kept going. And then it got to like peak COVID. And one thing I saw was it was always a similar amount of effort to do a larger deal than a smaller deal. And that's something that I've kept with me like from the very beginning. So always aiming to do every deal larger than the last. So every deal was pretty much that, up to 23 apartment buildings. But we got to the point, it was like mid COVID and interest rates were low and this big frenzy was in the market and everybody was buying. And to me, the numbers just stopped making sense. Like nothing penciled, margins were razor thin. It was on assumptions that cap rates would stay low, which you knew they wouldn't. And so one day we just decided, like, okay, well, where can we go where we can have like an unfair advantage, where we're not trying to like cut razor thin margins, where we can have an edge and get some like real exponential growth. So we looked across the real estate world, and I had worked for a real estate developer after the military, doing a variety of stuff: high rise development, industrial subdivisions, retail centers, all sorts of things. So I had a good experience on like different asset classes. And we found that self-storage and mobile home parks had gone through this big consolidation over the last 15 years, where they were very decentralized, owned by small mom and pops. And they went through this big institutional roll-up where they got bought up, they got standardized and professionalized, and it drove the cap rates down, the values up really significantly. They both went from about 90% mom and pop ownership down to about 70% now. So that had already happened, though, and it created this big value wave. That's why you hear about it everyone talks about in the real estate world of self-storage and mobile home. Well, just adjacent to that, we found outdoor hospitality, RV parks, glamping resorts, those sort of things. But we saw that they looked like mobile home parks and self-storage did 10 or 15 years ago. They're still 90% owned by mom and pops. Cap rates are still really high, about 9%. And for reference, multifamily is at 6 or 7%, self-storage, same. So you get a ton more cash flow based on an average purchase price. And so we saw the opportunity there. We saw almost no professional institutional groups buying outdoor hospitality assets. And when I say outdoor hospitality, that's a glamping resort, a hot spring resort, landscape hotels, meaning not a stacked building, but it's cabins spread out along a river, luxury tents on a mountainside, like those sort of things. So we saw very low competition, and we just decided to go all in on it. And a nice piece of it, it wasn't essential, but the investment thesis was there. But then there was the personal connection where I grew up in rural New Hampshire. I get all my fulfillment from being outside and in nature and living. I got into real estate, named my company Clear Summit Investments because I wanted to create passive income so I can go hike mountains and enjoy the world. So my team is all that exact same mindset. We're all a bunch of like barefoot hippies that like to go surf and rock climb and camp, and we don't wear collared shirts. I usually don't wear shoes. We do things a little different, and that's our purpose. So investing in glamping resorts and hot spring resorts also has a really deep personal alignment. And we really love the properties that we do.
Well, along the lines of that whole shift that you did, because that's a pretty big shift from going multifamily to what'd you call it? Outdoor hospitality. I have many listeners who are like super burned out right now because of what's going on in the economy, et cetera. So like, what advice do you have for someone who is maybe thinking of doing a shift in their business as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple quotes that always ring in my head. Like Warren Buffett's "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful."
Yes.
And
What's
another
the
one
one
that I
with the
really
tide?
love.
Like you could see who's been swimming naked when the
Exactly that.
another Warren Buffett one. Sorry.
Exactly. But another one that I really love, and I don't know the person that said it, but it's something that we hold on to that caused our shift was competition is the antithesis of profit. And when I was in the multifamily space, that's what it felt like. You go into a deal and it's like, okay, well, I need a 20% discount on this purchase price. And then it would be a home run deal. Well, they got 4 other offers. So now we have to overbid. Like, well, okay, we're just artificially driving the price up because there's competition. How can I find that buyer or that type of buyer without any competition so I can get that big discount or maybe even more? So doing something that is niche, and there's a million ways in real estate to find a niche. It's not just be asset class, it could be location or property type or tax liens, like you mentioned. But something that's niche where there's not a lot of competition, where you can actually have an edge or an unfair advantage. That looks different to everybody, but that's how you can actually get something where you can grow exponentially and not just trying to scrape by with thin margins.
Excellent advice. I love all of that. So I kind of want to dive into this kind of, I don't know if you'd call it an asset class, but you landed on RV and glamping resorts next to national parks. So sell this to me. I mean, I kind of understand your background and stuff, but I mean, you got to sell this to your investors as well. So why did this niche just work?
Sure. I mean, part of it's like to kind of sell themselves to come invest in a hot spring resort in the Rocky
What is
Mountains.
a hot spring resort?
So we have 5 resorts right now. 2 of them are hot spring resorts, and it's hot spring water naturally comes out of the ground at a couple hundred gallons a minute, and then we funnel it into various pools or cascades between them, and then you get really beautiful natural mineral water where you can soak in the pools. And there's a lot of health benefits to soaking in mineral water. There's also like a pretty strong cult following to hot springs
Oh.
where they look at the different mineral contents and different things. We actually like post the mineral content of the water. But it's they're outside, they're spread out in the mountains or in the desert. We
So what's
have
the benefit?
our
I'm sorry. But I'm curious. What's the benefit of being next to the national parks, though? I'm sorry, totally cut you
yeah.
off.
So that's the like location in real estate.
Okay,
And
because
if
people are
we
visiting there already, and so you are just outside and providing the hot springs and all this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
and the hot spring resorts may not necessarily be the national park, but our core thesis was that we wanted to do we put a lot of effort into designing our strategy when we did it because it was this big shift, selling 23
huge.
apartment buildings, building an entire vertically integrated company around a new strategy. We wanted to do everything right and as smart as we could and take all of the teachings from my team's collective, like several decades in real estate. So the lack of competition was a big attraction to the asset class. So, okay, that works. Well, now how do we get the best locations possible? And that was what are those essential pieces for getting a great location? Well, okay, we want to be near growing markets where population and job growth is increasing. So that led us to the Rocky Mountains because we saw Phoenix, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, and Denver, all with rapidly growing populations and projected to continue have growing populations for several decades into the future. So that's a great area. The demographic in that area, the culture is very outdoorsy, especially in like the Colorado, Utah area. There's a lot of national parks around. There's a lot of people that are just outdoorsy and travel and hike and camp and climb and all those things. So that
Or
fits
city
into our
folk,
culture.
that want to go be outdoorsy temporarily, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's part of the culture. They've gone the weekends, you go into the mountains. So those pieces lined up. And then taking that even a step further is like, well, what are some of the biggest attractions? We're glamping and we're outdoor resorts, so we're not going to be in a downtown. So how do we get a big attraction where we're not in like a major metro area? And that's national parks. And the National Park Service publishes visitation rates. So we can actually look over the last 20 years and see how visitation rates are trending. Some areas are capped, like Moab, and they're talking about for Yellowstone. So some of them cap the visitation, so we know that won't grow, but other ones are continuously growing. So we have, our first resort, we actually built it ground up, was by the Grand Canyon. And your basic thesis there is like, okay, well, here we're going to be on the road. We're 20 minutes from the main entrance to the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
6 million people a year drive by that road and visit the Grand Canyon. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. So we can invest there with a pretty high degree of confidence that there will always be a demand for lodging there because people travel from around the world to go visit that site in that entrance and drive by that exact road.
Oh my gosh. Super, super smart. And I was asking the question before, like, what advice do you have for someone who wants to shift because they're struggling right now? But all the research that you have done into this, that's just so very important. But important question here. How is this different from like short-term rentals?
Yeah, so it's a step further. A short-term rental could just be you buy a single family or even a condo and you're renting it out. What we've done is taken that, we're a resort. So our properties are the most efficient target is 30 to 60 units. That's kind of what we aim for. So that type of unit count. Some of the marketing's the same. We go on Airbnb and VRBO and Expedia and all of those. The resorts let us list on some other booking sites that you couldn't with a short-term rental, like Google Hotels and Expedia and Booking.com and those pieces. Right. But we get to lean into amenities much more heavily. So with a single unit, it may be hard to spend a lot on amenities because you only have one unit that can benefit from it. Well, if we have a resort and we build a hot tub or a pool or a sauna or a dog park or whatever those things are, now 50 units get to share that amenity. So the cost per unit to us for the amenities is quite low.
Very smart. So, like, are there any amenity decisions that you've made that made a bigger difference than you were expecting?
Yeah, so we go really heavy into amenities. We focus on health and wellness, and we often say we are wellness, like outdoor wellness resorts. Cold plunges was the number one searched amenity on Airbnb.
Really?
So we have cold plunges at every resort, and those are $5,000. So it's a very low cost relative to the return you get on that. But we do saunas, our typical is hot tub, sauna, cold plunge, dog park, outdoor fire pit, and then depending on the property, we'll maybe put some unique things in there. The hot springs themselves that's a major demand driver, and those resorts are a little bit different too because we sell day passes to the hot spring pools, so people can come and soak for maybe $30-$40. And for our 2 hot spring resorts, 2/3 of our revenue actually comes from those day passes.
So smart. Oh my goodness. So now I want to get to the investor side of things. So you say that investors are averaging 24% annual return. So walk me through how that is actually structured and how is that repeatable?
Sure. Yeah, we target deals so 9 years, I've done 55 real estate deals. I've had about 150 investors. Several of them have gone, invested 5, 6, maybe sometimes 7 times over with us, just rolling their money from deal to deal. But our core thesis is we buy these undervalued resorts. I mentioned we're in an area where it's usually unprofessional owners, mom and
Like
pop,
what do
someone
you
did it
look
as a
for when you're
passion project.
shopping? I'm sorry to cut you off. What do you look for when you're shopping? Like
Yeah,
a
so we look for something that fits our asset class, outdoor hospitality. We want it to be in a great area. So that's near a national park. That's within 2 hours of a major metro. So we're reasonable driving distance. And then we look for the opportunity.
but I
So
mean, I'm sorry. My question's more like, are you looking for like old RV parks that where there's like stuff already there, infrastructure, things like that, or you're buying raw land?
we do a little bit of both. Primarily,
Wow.
we're value add. So we
Okay.
like to buy things that are already cash flowing
Okay.
because we are a development group. Our background's in development, but we saw development's very risky. And the easiest way to mitigate that is if we're buying something that has existing cash flow, because now our basis is covered. Maybe we're even cash flow positive, and we can then go develop.
Hmm.
So if the development process takes a long time or goes awry or whatever the things come up because it's just natural in development, but we still bought an underlying really great deal that's cash flowing and good. So it's a nice safety net. So we look for deals that we can improve either operationally, meaning they don't have great marketing, maybe they don't have a website, maybe you have to email them to book, or it's some clunky booking software. They don't have a great website, they're not using social media marketing, they're not using dynamic pricing, things like that. And we can come in with a full professional property management team. We use influencer marketing and brand new shiny websites and great booking software and dynamic pricing and all these things to improve the operations. That alone often can really boost occupancy and nightly rates.
Gotcha.
The other thing we can do to improve is, and with that too, is giving, just like you'd improve a multifamily or flip a house, you just improve the property. We add our sauna, cold plunge, hot tub, string lights, make it cool and vibey, those sort of things. And then the other piece is the actual development side. So we can expand the properties. So
Hmm.
usually the lots that we buy are larger parcels. Sometimes they're 20, 30, 100 acres of land. And if there's a resort on it that's working, high occupancy, cash flowing, could be a really high quality resort that we don't really have much room to improve the operations, but there's 50 acres of undeveloped land, and maybe there's already entitlements to have another 50 units be added to it. Well, there's our value add. So we can buy the resort pretty much valued at its current cash flow, but our development team can come in and we can actually build out and add a whole bunch more tiny homes, cabins, yurts, domes, whatever fits the property.
Xander, and forgive me, feel like I'm bouncing all over the place because I'm like,
Okay.
I have so many questions going on, but let's go back to the investor. So I want to
Mhm.
know like the timeline. So by the way, you mentioned websites here. I'm jumping around again. You mentioned websites, how you improve them and stuff. Your website was so cool how it's set up, whoever did that, because if somebody goes to your website and they have 250,000 to invest, it's literally like right here and it explains exactly how things you can get paid monthly here, you can wait a year and get paid here, or you can wait 3 years and get paid here. So I want to know kind of, and it increases compounds, as you said, but I want to know what it looks like for that investor. So I just go to your website. I have 250,000 to invest. How long is that? What do I choose? And then also talk about the perks of investing with you.
For sure. Yeah. So when you invest, we have the Real Freedom Income Fund. So it is a fixed rate, fixed return fund that goes into our glamping and hot spring resorts. When you invest in the fund, there's three paths. So it's path A is a 10% return that gets paid out monthly. So you get a direct deposit on the first of every month. Path B is a 12% return that accrues for a year. Or path C is a 14% return that compounds for 3 years. It is an evergreen fund, so those are just the minimum holds, and you can keep your money in for as long as you want. We'll just keep rolling it from deal to deal. And what we're doing is the money comes into our fund, and then the fund actually buys the resorts. It takes pref equity positions in the resorts and get fixed returns that then pay that back. To secure it, we're backing it with our general partner interest in our previous fund, the one that currently owns the 5 resorts, and this new fund. So basically, we're saying, hey, all of our fees and profits and everything, we are pledging against your investment.
Hmm.
And then I also put $1 million personal first loss guarantee on top of that as well, just to provide as much safety and security as we can. So 10% paid monthly, 12% compounded for a year, or 14% compounded for 3 years, and you can hold indefinitely if you want. And then the fun part is we say you get to invest in something that you actually care about. So, and you can actually go visit any of our resorts. So any of our investors can visit any property in our portfolio because you're investing in it. You have level of ownership there. So you can get 7 nights free at any resort every year, 50% off after that, and you get 10 buddy passes to give to friends and family for a half off night stay.
That is so cool. I love that part especially. So I have 250,000. I want to choose A and get paid monthly, but in a year I'm going to need that money do I get my whole principal back? How does that work?
Yep. So it's a 90-day, it's an evergreen fund. So it just keeps rolling, and it's a 90-day redemption. So you can pull your funds out at any time. You just give us notice, and within 90 days, we'll liquidate. Previously, we've always liquidated people within like a week, but we say 90 days just so we have a buffer. You can
Gotcha.
switch between paths if you don't need the cash flow anymore, or you don't need it now. You can do path C to get your 14% compounded. And then if you want to retire in a couple of years, switch it over to path A and actually start getting the monthly distributions, or take out some of the money. It's flexible. And we built this vertically integrated company. We've been doing this for almost a decade. We're continuing to do this because there's still nobody really in our space buying glamping and hot spring resorts, and we're off to the races on this. So we will keep growing our portfolio and keep rolling the funds from deal to deal, and our portfolio just continues to get larger and more secure because there's more value there to back the funds.
I- Like I said, I have been so excited over this interview because this is just, I interview people all the time and they're like, invest in my fund and I do multifamily. And this is
Mhm.
just so cool. And in fact, that you get these extra days to go visit wherever you want every year, you get that. This is so, so smart. So let's talk about the actual like properties. So do you have a favorite like little tiny cabins? Do you like, I feel like I saw some domes on your website. You said yurts. Like, what do you like doing? What is like super cost effective? What do you hate doing? What's the most requested? Let's go into like the actual people where guests are staying.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, every property is a little different, so we get to be fully custom. It's a world of different from a hotel where it's just white boxes that you go stay in. We get to be like what's going to be cool and interesting, and what's going to pop off on Instagram and be shareable and viral. So Desert Reef is our hot spring in southern Colorado, down near Colorado Springs. That's got 22,000 Instagram followers. It's this really beautiful property on 77 acres of land. You can't see any other buildings or lights on the horizon.
Oh my
And we've
goodness.
situated all the units so they're all spread out. So you kind of feel like you're by yourself, like out there. We have tiny homes on there that each have their own private hot pool. So you have your own pool there, or there's the bigger communal pools that if you want to be around people. A cool piece that we started from the beginning is Airstream trailers. So these
Oh,
vintage Airstreams, we would actually buy them sometimes Facebook Marketplace or buy them at auction and fully renovate them. So bring them up and put in nice residential showers and normal toilets and things. But then you get this cool, like vibey Airstream trailer to go stay in. So that's a pretty unique one. And obviously those are very aesthetic and do really well on like social media and things.
okay. So as a woman who loves the entire concept of glamping, I like to drink some wine with my ladies if I'm going to be traveling. So, is there a bar at these places? Is there like talk to me? What sell me on this? I want to hear about this.
Definitely. Yeah, so our 2 hot spring resorts we are building out a food and beverage, offer, so we have liquor licenses pending. We're part of our development plan is getting these built out, but yeah, so there'll be, one of them will have, like, a full-service restaurant to it, the other one is more of, like, a juice and cocktail bar, but those are the sort of, like, additional revenue streams that we get to stack in there.
Mm. Oh my gosh. Do you have like on-site maintenance people, cleaning teams? How does that
Mhm.
work?
Yeah, and that was go back to your question, like what's the difference between us and a short-term rental?
Right.
That's one of the biggest pieces. So we only do resorts that are large enough. Right now, we've got about last year we had a $5 million minimum. Now we're doing about a $10 million minimum per property. And it's enough revenue to support on-site staff, which is a really important piece because we're not in a downtown city. There's not a lot of people around sometimes. So we make sure that we're able to pay a full-time salaried general manager that actually lives on the property. Now you have someone that can care for it, and that lets us be able to manage them relatively remotely.
And
So
how do I apply for this position?
well, it's
I
interesting. There's a whole network of people do what's called work campers, and they will go travel around. It's oftentimes younger couples that want to just go travel, or it's also often old retired couples, and they're your stereotypicals like a husband that was blue collar, worked in the trades, and a wife that was doing some sort of like administrative work. And it's the perfect pairing for these properties. And they call it work campers because they'll come and stay, and it's like a work trade. They come stay on the property and live, and for free in a unit. Maybe we give them an RV pad and they come with their own RV, or we'll give them a place to stay on site in exchange for working, a certain number of hours a week or a small stipend or something. And there's these people that will spend that's what they do all year long. They'll maybe do 3 or 6 months at a different location and keep bouncing around. So it's a real win-win for us because you get people that live on site, so the care is going to be a lot higher. They're relatively low cost, and it's really easy for us to get a lot of those because there's some of these work camper groups on Facebook Marketplace are like 100,000 people in them. So a lot of people do this.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am chomping at the bit because this is just such a unique idea, experience, everything. So let's go back to investors. Do you have to be accredited to invest with you?
Yeah. So we're Reg D 506C, so we have to be accredited investors only. So that means you make at least 200,000 a year, 300,000 if you file jointly, or you have a net worth over $1 million, not counting your personal residence.
Wow. All right. So what is next for Clear Summit?
We are full speed ahead at this roll up. We bought 5 resorts last year. We'll likely buy another 5 resorts this year. We're niching down even more to just more like upscale outdoor wellness, very experiential resorts, and hot spring resorts. And that's our niche focus, and only in the Rocky Mountain region. But we're full speed ahead on that. We don't see a lot of competition in the space. We see a ton of potential properties and opportunities for us to buy that are right in that target range that we want to buy, 10 million plus, with big upside opportunities, with big development expansion opportunities to them. So we're full speed ahead. We're getting our systems better. We're getting really, really good at operating. We're getting really, really good at developing. We're building our investor network. We had 104 investors jump in last year. Probably have another 1 to 200 this year, depending on average check size. And yeah, we're full speed ahead.
And then talk about this new fund that you're launching. You mentioned it briefly, but let's give it like clear focus because now everybody listening is like, how do I get involved?
Yeah, so it's the Real Freedom Income Fund. You invest, it's $100,000 minimum. You have those 3 paths. Path A with 10% cash flow paid monthly. Path B is 12%. And path C is 14% compounded for 3 years. The fund is open now. So if you go to our website, you can jump in the investor portal and sign up to invest. We have an investor relations team, happy to jump on a call to answer any questions. We run webinars, usually a couple times a month. So you want to see this background again, we'll get on a webinar and answer any questions you have. And then as soon as you complete your investment, you have access to our whole portfolio of resorts. And this year with some really exciting resorts. Yeah, there's a couple that I can't quite publicly come out with yet, but in the next few weeks, there's some really, really cool deals that are about to come out. Same thesis, but super experiential properties, really beautiful hot spring resorts.
Even the chickens are excited. The chickens are excited behind you. I can hear the roosters. Before I go to the second part of the podcast here, I have a really important question. Do you allow dogs at these resorts?
Yeah. Yeah, we actually have some, I think a few of ours, I don't remember how many, but it's a few of the resorts have dog parks at them.
Oh, you mentioned dog parks. I'm sorry.
And,
Yeah,
and one of
thank
them
you.
actually has two dog parks. There's a dog park for social dogs and a dog park for
For,
unsocial dogs.
for the a-holes, huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
that's our one up by the Grand Canyon is the side by side dog parks.
Zander, I just am so excited about this. I'm excited for you. Like, what a very cool thing that you are doing, and a great opportunity for your investors as well. So, I could talk about this all day, but I want to move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Zander Kemp a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Sure. Yeah, 10x is easier than 2x is a huge, that was a big mindset shift for me. And the basic
Was it
concept there,
Dan Sullivan?
Dan Sullivan and
Dan
Dr. Ben
Sullivan.
Hardy.
Yes.
Yeah. So basic concept there is if you're trying to grow, 2x bigger, all you're going to do is just try and do things a little bit better, which maybe you can, maybe you can't, but probably you're just going to keep doing things how you were. But if you aim to go 10 times bigger, well, that's not, I just need to keep doing what I'm doing better. That's, I need to do a fundamental shift. I need to focus on what's the 20% that I'm doing right now that's giving me 80% of my results. Focus on that and cut the 80% that isn't. That's a really different way to approach growth and scaling. And that's part of why I sold my entire 23 apartment building portfolio and why we've made several of the pivots that we've made.
You definitely are part of masterminds because you talk like the mastermind attendee. I hear it in everything that you say. I love that. And I actually love the one that made a huge difference for me was the Who Not How book, because that I'm one of those, I'm a control freak and I'm just like, I got to do everything myself. And so, yes, both those books were fantastic. All right. The first A in Badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It's do one thing and just focus on that. It's so easy as an entrepreneur, real estate investor to start to see opportunity and you know how to create value and you start to see opportunity everywhere. And it's the entrepreneur's curse of chasing shiny objects. And the best thing that you could possibly do for yourself is to just put on those blinders and go 100% in onto one thing and go be exceptional at that. Do it better than anybody else. And don't let yourself be distracted by other ventures, other goals. Just do that one thing and just grow with it.
Zander, I'm laughing at you because I just started a t-shirt company. I've been doing real estate. I started about 9 years ago myself. And so I'm on Zoom calls all day long. I coach students. And so I always try to wear funny t-shirts. And I'm like, I need to start making, but I'm like, I'm the same way. So I need to get focused, but real estate is my main focus, but I just have a lot of fun making t-shirts. So, all right. The D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
For me, it's the freedom. Like I said, Clear Sum Investments is my company. I named it that 10 years ago because I wanted to create passive income and be able to go travel the world and adventure and climb the tallest mountains. And that's why also our fund is named the Real Freedom Income Fund. It's real freedom from real estate creating the freedom to go do what you want to do with your life, travel, adventure, live. So that drive for me is doing that with really great people. But being able to win and succeed and create a life of freedom where you can go run a business from Hawaii or Bali or the mountains and wherever that might be.
And you didn't mention the website before when we're talking about investors. So give us the website real quick for Clear Summit.
Yeah, it's clearsummitinvestments.com. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn, Zander Kemp.
Very good. All right. The second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Sure. Yeah, we're raising $30 million for the Real Freedom Income Fund, and we'll purchase another five to seven hot spring and glamping resorts this year.
Do you have any personal goals?
I'm pretty deep on the spiritual journey. So I have I want to do a Vipassana this year. It's a 10-day silent meditation.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That is impressive. I don't think I could be silent for 5 minutes, by the way. It's the curse of being a podcaster. All right. The first S in Badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Sure. Yeah. Probably my executive assistant is the biggest piece. Having somebody that same who not how concept,
Yep.
being able to delegate down, have someone that can keep things organized, track major projects. Our company started to build more like AI tools, and we use Slack and Asana and regular meetings with my team. We use EOS, the Entrepreneur's Operating System, to do a quarterly um, VTO. Sorry, we're throwing a lot of acronyms, but the Vision Traction Organizer, basically quarterly goal setting with our leadership team, looking out at what's your 10-year, 3-year, 1 year, and then breaking that down into what are our quarterly rocks, and what's if we
Yep.
just look at the next 90-day sprint, what do we need to focus on? And doing it in that way too, it helps avoid the daily strategic conversations and just say, hey, we will have our strategic call right now. We're going to say, yes, this is exactly what we need to do over the next 90 days. And then same with that one thing focus, we can just put our heads down and our blinders on and just go accomplish those things in the next 90 days. And then we can take our heads up and adjust as needed.
And this executive assistant, are they in Oahu with you?
No, most
Oh,
of our
okay.
team is all in the mainland.
Okay.
So across Texas, Arizona, Colorado, and a couple people in like California, Washington.
Well, if they were, I was going to apply for that job too, by the way. And I would feed the roosters. I used to have chickens myself. All right. I could talk to you all day, but the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to Zander Kemp?
Yeah. Success to me is having real, like I've actually kind of coined it, real freedom. So it's freedom of time, money, location, and purpose. Being at a point where I can be wherever I want, spend my time how I want, be with like the people I want to be with, and be pursuing the purpose. It's something that is purposeful to me.
Well, I appreciate you spending time with me today because this was, and last week it was my fault. I had to make you postpone it a week. So I appreciate you so very much for being here. This was such a great interview and so cool what you do, Zander. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.